Hey, Louise here, and do I have a fun project today? I was up last night binding this fleece to make quilts for my grandkids for Christmas, and it's getting down to the wire, so I was sewing and going away and doing all kinds of stuff. I bought a bunch of this fleece, and I'm making 2 separate blankets, and I'm using satin blanket binding. Now, you've seen this at the fabric stores for years. This package has not changed its form in at least 50 years. So if you've been in a store at any time, you've seen this. And it's wonderful. Generally, we think of it for edging on a baby blanket, but it works great on any kind of blanket. Actually, growing up, most of the blankets we had were made with this. And what it is a piece of satin that is just shy of 4 inches wide, and it's folded in half. The beauty is, even though it's folded in half, it's offset just a little bit. Do you see that? So when I put this down, I'm going to put this on the top and this on the bottom. So when I sew this, I'm going to catch the bottom every time. It's not going anywhere. And that's the beauty of this particular product, which is why I used it. You know, I thought about turning my my fleece over a couple times and sewing the edge, but I wanted a nicer finish than that. And satin is just so wonderful, and it feels good, and I know the kids are going to love it. Now, when it came to this, I know how to put this on. But I haven't done a mitered corner. So here's the thing. What I would have started with is I would have put my piece folded like this, and I'd come down probably here and here, and then I would have this mitered corner to work around. But then this part is open, and I didn't like that. Now I'd see where there are those who make this and do the zigzag, but I didn't want the zigzag on this. I didn't want the miter stitching to sew. I wanted this to be a seam. So I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, you know, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I'm sure we have a genius out there who has figured out how to do a mitered corner on satin blanket binding without the need of all that folding and getting just a really great finish. Well, lo and behold, I discovered Angela, and she's at Notches Sewing, Notches, and I'm going to link her video above, and I'll also put it down below. She has a fantastic technique, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that. And I want you to think about this the next time you go to finish your blanket, because look at this. Look at how wonderful that finishes, and it's sewn right to the fleece. So this isn't going anywhere. And I haven't even sewn these edges down, because when I finish it, I'm going to sew it with a zigzag stitch. But we're going to talk about that a bit more in a few minutes. I just want to break this down for you so you can see how easy it is. I'm going to have you watch Angela's video to see all the specific step-by-step. I'll give you the overview, because some of it you need to see her do it in hand. And as you know, I'm still in a temporary situation in that our house is being worked on now. It's taken a couple months, but they're working on fixing our house after the hurricane. We're in a rental, which is great, but I'm limited in what I can do here as far as videos. But with that being said, I do want to show you how this works. So we take this piece, as I said, we have the top and the bottom, and you want to make sure this slides right over the edge of your fleece, just like this. And you want the fleece to come all the way out to the edge, because if you only catch like maybe a ½ inch or so, this becomes really limp and it's not going to hold up well. Whereas here, the fleece comes all the way out to the fold, so this is thick all the way through, and it just feels really nice. It feels sturdy, and it's not going to, you know, just sort of whimper out on you. And the first thing you start with is you fold this over, and you do a quick stitch here to hold the end. So with a ½ inch seam allowance, you stitch here, but then you also just do a stitch really close to the edge. That catches the back, and it's going to hold everything in place while you work on it. So that's the secret of Angela's method, is she has you do this corner stitch, and then you do the actual turning of the corner. So we get to a point where we do our binding. We're coming along. The first thing we do before sewing this is we do our miters. Then we come back and sew the whole thing. That holds it all together in place. We just put a few pins in as we go because that is going to give me the stability to hold everything where I need to sew. And the corners are already secured, so it just goes together really quick. So what we do is we come out with our binding coming this way, and then we do this little stitch in the corner. We go down along the edge and come in. Now we come in only as far as the binding itself, and you just mark it with a pen. I used a disappearing ink, and this is about 2 inches. So you can also just measure in 2 inches, but you want to come out just a little bit past the edge because that's going to allow for the width of the fleece inside so it doesn't get bunched up. It gives you a little bit of room so everything lays flat. Then once you do this, I'll just show you here, you're going to bring this around this way, like this. And you're going to fold it really nice and make it pretty. And then you're going to do this stitch. And that's where we are here. See, from the outside corner to the inside corner. So this is going to be where the binding turns on the blanket. So I'm going to sew from here to here. And then when I do that, I know this just gets me so excited. Can you believe it? You pull this out and now it's nice and straight. Okay, that works. But look at this. Now you pull it through and you get this wonderful mitered corner. And there's a couple tricks along the way about how to sew the corner, how far to sew it. And look at that. I think that is beautiful. It's not going anywhere. The blanket is inside. Now, when you first turn it over, it might feel like this is bunched up, but what it is this piece needs to be tucked securely into your binding. And then everything lays nice and flat so it's smooth. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? That is such a fabulous trick. Now, Angela says this may take you longer than some of the others, but I'll tell you, on some of the others, you're going to a lot of, what do I want to say, a lot of time just trying to put it all together. Now, if you look around and search for other methods, they do have a number of different options, and quicker or not, it's kind of relative. While you may get this part done quicker, it's a little fussier along these edges because when you're folding and twisting and turning, then you have to come back and you sew out here. I just don't like that finish. I want this nice smooth miter, just like we would see on the quilts when we put a border on. I think this is fantastic. Now, that's the extent of it. So we start with this little simple edge that I showed you just a minute ago, and I've already lost it, where we just sew to the end. Let's see, where's this one? Okay, this is the one where we turn like this. But the one where we start, and we just have that half piece, that half-inch piece, and we just, run it all the way to the other end. And this is how we do the corners. And then when we get to the final corner, let me show you how that works. Now, what I really like is how you finish it off, how you do the final mitered corner. Because remember, we started with this piece here, right? So what we do, I'll use let me get a small piece here, a piece of a different color so you can see what I'm doing. So we'd be coming around this corner like this, and what I would do is just bring my binding, I'd open it out, and I'd put it here, and I'd put it here like this. And then I'm going to sew that, and what you'll see is you get this nice straight piece where it's continuous so it doesn't twist or fold. And then when you do the corner sew like this one, so you would have this all sewn in, you do your corner sew, and then when you bring that around, there you are. Oh my goodness, this is just wonderful. So I wanted to show you this, so if you need a quick Christmas gift and you just have a few hours, a day or less to do it, give this a thought because I want to show you one other thing. And so the kids can tell them apart. I use different colors. The selection was limited because they were on sale, but that's okay. These two colors work good. So I made these, the blankets are 60 inches, the width of the fabric, and I made each of them 80 inches. And so I had some extra that I had cut off, and I thought, well, I'll make like a pillowcase, like a sham. And so what I did, and it's a little wider than most pillows, but I thought, oh, well, that's okay. It'll be nice and squishy. Maybe I can buy some extra thick pillows that'll fit in here and bulk this up. But I took my fabric. It was, let's see, this was like 26 inches wide. 24 would probably have been better, but then I thought, yeah, we'll get room for the pillow squish, right? So I had 26 inches by the full width of the fabric, which is 60 inches. And I took my pieces, my excess pieces, as I was trimming when I get to the end of my my blanket, and I sewed a strip along each of the selvage edges. So it's 26 by width of fabric, and the end of each selvage at the width of fabric, I put a piece of this on. And then I overlapped them and folded it so these are in the middle, and then I added another piece on the end. And all I did was that little corner where we do the extension with that little 1/2 inch sticks out over here, and I do that, and then I turned it right side out and sewed everything down. Now that went so fast. The first one took me a couple minutes because I was a little unsure of just how this was all going to go together, but I love it. And so this is 2 layers of the fleece plus the satin, and it just feels wonderful. 2 things, really important. You've got to have a sharp needle, and you must use a walking foot. You can use a regular foot, but you will use a lot more pins. A regular foot is not going to feed the fabric through as smoothly, and you may find yourself kind of, tugging and pulling it along. With the walking foot, everything just went perfectly. And you can see, as far as pinning, I probably pinned it, 8 to 10 inches. And I just sew along and see it doesn't really go anywhere. And yes, the selvage, just trim off anything that's not fleeced. Sometimes at the edge of your selvage, you'll get the woven part that's not fleecy. Just cut that part off. And as long as this is inside your binding, it doesn't matter. And then I just started sewing. Now, Angela shows us to use a zigzag, which is a great idea, and that's fine. But I prefer my favorite that I also use on my quilt binding, which is this stitch. Do you see there's 1, 2, 3 stitches up and 3 stitches down? And I really like that because I think it's going to be a little bit more secure. Now you see how this flannel the fleece stretches? This does not. That stitch is really sturdy. It's not going to pull out. And it looks great on both sides. So as you're sewing, you want to have 1 stitch go outside of the, the binding here. And then that stitch will pick up the back edge on the reverse side, so you don't have any loose ends anywhere. I love this. This worked out absolutely wonderfully. And I wanted to share it with you because it really makes for a quick finish. Now, I'm going to ask for some help from you. I showed you how to do this, and if you've not done it before, you know where to go. Check out Angela at Notches Sewing. I bought this beautiful piece of fleece. Oh my gosh, it is so thick and plushy. And see, I've never sewn with fleece before. This is all new to me, and this was great fun. So for me to get this far, I thought was really good. I was excited, but they didn't have any of the blanket binding to match this at the time, and I didn't want to go with white. So I thought, well, let me make these first and see what this is. So these are also 60 inches wide, and I bought a yard. So I'm basically going to have a square if I fold it in half, and I thought maybe making like a big floor pillow. And I'd probably use the satin because the satin binding, because that's a great way to finish it and all that kind of stuff. So I need to figure out what to do here. If you have a better idea, let me know. For a floor pillow, I think the satin will create almost like a I don't know how thick this will be. I don't know if I'll get a square cushion. I haven't quite decided. If you have great ideas about floor pillows, let me know. But let me show you this next one. Here's the challenge. Have you ever sewn with this metallic fur? Oh my gosh, my granddaughter is just going to love this. It's this beautiful pink fur. The pile is probably about 3/4 to, it's not quite an inch, but it has, beyond the plushy fur, it has these metallic pieces that protrude out, so it picks up light everywhere. Oh my goodness, I don't know if that's coming out in the camera, but I don't know how to sew this. And see, it's got a selvage here, and this, oh, well, that's interesting how that was cut. So we'll figure that out. That must have been from the other person, because the gal who helped me did a tear when she was cutting this apart, and it came out much more smooth. Yeah, this is her cut edge. And so I'm just not quite sure what to do, because this has the full fur edge. This one that was cut, obviously we lost a lot of the fur. Now, maybe that makes it easier to sew. I don't know. So I'm going to have to go find out how to do this. So if you've done this, leave me a comment and let me know. If I find some magic solutions, we'll do another quick video when I get this done. It'd be great to have for Christmas, but given that's only, 2 days away, I don't know. But in the meantime, I just wanted you to see this. I thought you would have great fun with this project, and it's such an easy way to make a blanket. Now, this is also a wonderful way to finish a quilt, baby quilts. If you just get, whether you get fleece or flannel, this works out really well. But I also thought about Project Linus. I've been collecting quilts that are being donated across the country. They're coming from everywhere. We had a big box of quilts come in from Hawaii, from Maui. Oh my gosh, could not believe that, all the way to here in Georgia. And we are now donating quilts to Project Linus here locally. After the hurricane, there are so many kids that Project Linus wants to help. And what I guess I never really thought about is why Project Linus has its name. Well, it's Charlie Brown. It's the Schultz comic strip, the Peanut strip. And Linus is the character who always carries his blanket. He never puts his blanket down, except in the Christmas video, Charlie Brown Christmas. And what he does in the end is he takes his blanket and he wraps it around the base of the Christmas tree. Remember the Charlie Brown Christmas tree? Well, Linus's blanket wraps around that, and in celebration of the birth of Christ. And I just thought that was really awesome. So I love that there's that story about the blanket involved with Project Linus too. So there we are. I know I'm chattering on about all kinds of things. This is the first video I've done in almost 2 weeks. I had a sinus infection. Oh my goodness, y'all. It's been tough, but the good news is they're working on our house. We probably have maybe a couple months. We get to move back home, and life will get back to normal. I can't wait. In the meantime, we are very comfortable. We are happy. We can't complain. And we're going to have a fabulous Christmas. I just want to wish you all a Merry, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I pray that you have a blessed holiday and a blessed New Year with all kinds of wonderful things happening in your life, keeping everybody healthy and safe. And thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for coming all the way to the end with me. This has been great fun. I hope you give it a try, and I hope you enjoy it. As always, this is such a pleasure to be here with you. You all have a wonderful rest of your day. Merry Christmas.